Obviously, you had a spectacular performance last time out, but it was 8 months ago. What took so long to get you back in the cage here?
Oh man, I had a whole lot of different things going on in that time. I mean, the knockout went viral. It was a whole lot of hoopla about that. You know, it was a great hype about it and stuff like that. But during the meantime, I got married, so that was obviously a very important thing for me to get handled. So I've been married now for about 5-6 months. So my beautiful wife, Colby Northcutt Daniels now. So I did that. I had some seminar tours that I had set up over in Australia. Shout out to everybody in over Australia for those fires and stuff like that. I had a tour over in the UK. So I just been traveling, teaching. Not only do I fight, but I always try to make sure I give back at the same time. So my platform and what I do when I fight is just the opportunity for me to kind of fellowship with other people and share my inspiration with them.
Very cool. Well, as you said, it was a spectacular result. It went viral. I wonder, did you almost set the bar too high? Like, you got to come out and do that like every time now, right?
Yeah, I was talking to my coach about that. I was just like, man, well, that people don't understand that was me after a failed attempt for me, so to speak, 10, 11 years ago. So if you were in my immediate circle, you knew that was going to come to fruition. So how big that got, I didn't imagine it being as big as it really was, to be honest. But that was built up for 10 or 11 years of me anticipating to come back. So that was just 10, 11 years built up. I got to get this one back as a life correction. So it was awesome, and I was talking to my coaches, and then that's what they're there for, to keep me calm, because I'm like, man, like, how do I go out and how do I top that one? And I think that one's in like my top 5 knockouts that I've done. But I just go out there and I do it. For me, it's a very basic thing what I do because I've been training it. But to other people, it seems spectacular, and it seems like these crazy moves, and it's just mostly because you just don't see anybody else do anything like that on a consistent basis.
Yeah. So then, what's the mindset this time around? Like you said, you had all this pent-up aggression last time, or redemption that you needed to do. What's the mindset going in this time?
Now for me, it's about any organization that I've ever competed in, whether it would be like back in my sport karate days in the NBL, NASCA, when I went WCL with Chuck Norris, when I went to Glory, here at Bellator kickboxing, I've always risen to the top. I've always become the man. I've always challenged for the title. So now, at first it was getting that back, and I had a whole lot of nervous energy going into it that time, and I still do this time, because obviously I'm stepping in outside of my comfort zone right now, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to rising to the top here, So now I'm actually having fun, and that's when it gets scary, is when I actually start to enjoy the process. People forget that there's beauty in the struggle, and even though that I'm, figuring this out, give me about this fight, give me about 2 more fights, and I'm going to start coming for what I call kind of like the top 10 of the Bellator, the creme de la creme. Bellator has a great champion in Douglas Lima. I think he's honestly an ideal champion that more champions honestly should look at him and what type of champion he is. He's a family man. He's a godly man. He doesn't go out and talk and be disrespectful to his opponents. I think he's an ideal champion, and I would love that I have an opportunity to share the cage with him eventually. And, as of right now, I know people would say I'm not there, and I don't think that I deserve that shot right at this moment, but I will be in the near future.
I like it. Well, baby steps along the way, right?
Exactly. Got to work my way in, work my way into it and stuff like that. So that's why I know I need some more work. You know what I mean? To get comfortable, to be completely comfortable, where I can completely be free and do myself in the ring.
What do you think about the matchup that you have in front of you now? Have you done much scouting? Are you a tape watcher, that sort of thing? What do you think?
Yeah, I've checked out a little bit. I like to leave a lot of that for my coaches to do, but I've checked out Jason King. He's actually a really strong all-around mixed martial arts. He has TKO wins. He has a lot of submission wins. He actually has, I think, 14 fights total, or 13, 14 fights total. This might be his 14th, I think. But so he has an extensive more experience than me as far as in MMA. But as I was saying earlier, is my goal is to continue to step up in my competition and step up. And I think he's that next step in that next hurdle that I need to overcome in order for me to reach the pinnacle of this MMA. I don't look to just sit back and fight guys that aren't going to be of the caliber that I know eventually that I'm going to be facing. So my goal is to continue to challenge myself, to challenge my camp, and for us to continue to rise and overcome any obstacle, which is placed in front of us.
It's interesting because I'm sure that you'd like to keep every fight standing, right? But I mean, is there any part of you that says, "Boy, I would like to get into a little bit of a grind, or I would like to get into a jiu-jitsu battle, and like really prove that to myself or prove it to other people"?
For me, I kind of take the fight and it goes where it goes. I don't necessarily like to do it, but I would pretty much imagine that anybody who ever got in the ring with me, even if they considered themselves a stand-up fighter, would eventually would turn immediately to a wrestler or to a jiu-jitsu artist, because I think it's a big difference when it comes to the actual type of stand-up fighting, because it's hard to mimic a style that I do. You can't really, there's not really too many training partners in the entire world that can come out and mimic and see those things, and I think it's always different when it comes at people. Yeah, I mean, I've been working a whole lot on that, so like I got some things like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I obviously keep it where I'm comfortable and go out there, and that's where I'm still new at the other areas, and this standing up is where I'm able to create my masterpieces like I did my last fight.
Well, lay out the goals for 2020. I mean, you're openly saying, hey, listen, I want to challenge for the title at some point, but you got to get there. So what are the goals? I mean, what do you want to accomplish this year? How far can you move up that ladder this year?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. To be honest, one of my goals, obviously, I'm fighting here in January. My wife, I believe, is going to be fighting in around March, so I would like to fight again around April, and then I would like to fight again around like the summertime, right around July or August. So I would like to fight 3 times back to back, and then towards that latter part of the year, that's when I was talking about that top 10 group that I would like to bounce into, because I think the Bellator welterweight division is actually one of the strongest, toughest divisions in the world. I honestly get goosebumps. I'm getting them right now just thinking about how excited I am about having the opportunity to take a part in it. It's unfortunate that I came a little bit a year too late. Otherwise, I would have loved to have the opportunity to participate in that welterweight tournament. That was amazing. So towards the latter part of the year, I would like to get 3 to 4 fights in this year. Nice. Is what my goal is.
Nice. You see an MVP fight on the horizon?
Everybody always asks me that, and I think it's because Mike and I come from the same like background and stuff like that. To be honest, I actually enjoy watching Mike. We're actually really good friends. I wouldn't necessarily go out and call Mike out or but if we had to cross paths and stuff like that, Mike and I have fought each other before, and we both know that we're both competitors. I would love for, if we did fight each other, for it to be for like a title type fight or something like that, because then it just makes it that much more exciting. But meantime, there's a lot of fighters for Mike to go out there and fight, and not a lot for me to go out there and fight. And then it'd be interesting to see the difference of our styles in a new atmosphere, because what we did back in the day was a sport karate thing. This is a different arena, so I'm sure Mike wouldn't turn down the opportunity if it makes dollars, it makes sense.
Definitely. Well, listen, it starts on Saturday to get these goals done. Give me an idea. How do you see this thing playing out? I mean, do you think you can go create another viral moment and blow up the internet, or do you feel like this might be more of a grind and maybe just find a win some way?
Well, I'm always planning on getting the win. Getting the win is already expected from me and from what it is that I do. And me going out and putting on a great show. And I plan on finishing it quickly and in a style that people haven't seen before. I love the fact that it's Cyborg's debut. I love the fact that Conor fought last weekend. So therefore, I can go out and kind of show the world, this is what I do. And no one has a highlight reel knockout succession like I do. No one has the knockouts in the ways and the fashions that I do. So I love that to actually have these big name fighters on the cards before or after me. I love that the Super Bowl is coming up, because I'm like, okay, let me see if I can get outviewed the Super Bowl or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, I like to go out there, have a good time, make sure I come home safe, my opponent comes home safe. You know what I mean? People forget that even though we're out there fighting, my goal is not to hurt them. My goal is to stop them, and sometimes I try and stop them in a different way than other people are used to seeing.